Hi, I'm George Ellis, and today I'm going to introduce you to the New Product and Service Introduction Canvas, or NPSI. It's a single page that gives a complete view of your product so that in your organization people can understand your product. It covers it from more than a dozen different vantage points. It'll help you get faster, better decisions, and it'll save you time when you're explaining what your goals and aspirations for this new product or service are. Let's start by understanding what problem we're trying to solve. New products and services are communicated in most organizations in needlessly complex ways. Every organization needs to look at new products and services from a consistent vantage point or set of vantage points. Our organizations need a concise way to view these complicated stories. The solution presented here is a canvas view of a new product or service introduction in order to simplify communication, and that will create faster decisions, better decisions on prioritization and resourcing. So let's take a look at a schematic of an NPSI Canvas. We'd want to begin with understanding the link to our organization's strategy. In other words, what are the things that we're good at? Where are the places we're going? What are the segments that we want to be working in? And understanding how those are going to be taken advantage of in the new product. From there, we can talk about the customer segment that this product or service is going to address. We can look at MECO charts of how the segment is divided. We can look at the size of the segment, how fast it's growing. A lot of detailed, difficult work, but we can look at it at a summary view. Then we want to talk about the channel, especially if there are large changes we need to make in the channel. Are there gaps in terms of region or types of selling that our current channel does? And is that going to take us a long time to build up? From there, we want to understand the value prop. How does the customer value what we would do, the customer in that segment? From there, we can look at the innovation and IP, how we're going to create a sustainable difference, and do we even have the ability to provide the product right now, or are we going to have to make changes in our organization? From there, we can look at key features. What are the major things we need to provide in this product? The Kano model is a well-known model for providing this. It's not that we have to use that model, but it divides everything into attractive features, into one-dimensional features, basically specs, and into must-haves, things like customer service. But by looking at the key features we have to develop and how they fit into the customer's view, we'll understand our product much better. From there, we can look at a cost and margin model. How much is it going to cost us to make a product that meets these key features? From there, we can look at pricing. If we have the value prop and we know our cost and what margin we're looking for, that can guide us to pricing, and we can ensure that the pricing is going to be acceptable to the customer and create acceptable margin. From there, we can look at customer interaction during development. How are we going to interact with the customer? Are we going to use Eric Ries as MVPs? Are we going to be conducting interviews? Are we going to be going into the customer site and doing high-tech anthropology, like Menlo Innovations from Eric Ries's book, and actually using the product in ourselves with our folks in the customer site? How are we going to be interacting throughout development so we don't just develop a product and at the end find out exactly what customers needed? From there, we can look at schedule. How long are we going to be defining the product, creating the technology within our organization, and then developing the product? That's where the real money is usually spent. And then how are we going to launch region by region, all at once? What's the time frame of all those things that are going to happen? From there, we can look at sales revenue. How do we expect to sell the product, and in what regions of the world, and how will it vary year by year? And also, how is it driving cannibalization versus driving incremental sales? From there, we need to see the critical selling assets, those things that we have to sell this product. Critical selling assets are very often not defined early in a project, and later, when we get to where we're introducing it, it becomes the reason why we're not able to be successful. So let's define those assets, whether they're collateral or e-commerce or training for our customers or for our salespeople or distributors. Let's define what we have to be successful. With these 12 vantage points summarized, we can then look at a financial model for the entire product, what it's going to bring to our organization, and be able to have a comprehensive ROI calculation. Now, each of these 12 areas may be summarized here, but that doesn't mean we can't dig down and look at the base data. For instance, let's consider the segmentation. Here, we might just show an overview of the segment and the size of the segment, the annual growth, maybe a couple of key subsegments. Now, we may click down into this and from here look at a single page of just that segment. Think of this as hierarchical information. This is the top hierarchy showing the whole product. Now we can dive down one tier in once we see the whole story. Now, when we dive in and look at the next level down of the customer segment, we may have MECO charts that really give us detailed information about that customer segment. Same with cost and margin. We may show overall margin, but a cost and margin schedule might be the next level down so that we can get a detailed look at the cost and margin so that we can validate the assumptions that are used. Same for pricing, same for revenue, same for selling assets. But at the highest level, we want to see the whole story on one page. So if we take this schematic view one level deep, what might that look like? So here's a picture of just a schematic of an Excel sheet that might give us that level of information. And you can see where the arrows are, for instance, here to summarize sales revenue. So perhaps this is just a summary of the sales revenue, but we can click down into a comprehensive look at sales for this new product that's signed off and owned by sales. Similarly, each of these areas can be signed off and owned by the function that's appropriate. When I think about the cost and margin model, that probably should come from operations. The person who's on the NPI team who owns the operations aspects of that project, they can summarize that and own that data. Here we can pull it up and just get an overview. So that's about it. Just an overview of what an NPSI Canvas could look like. Of course, there's nothing magic here, and it's going to vary by the industry you're in, by the organization, by your history. The point is to take a consistent, single-page view of every project that you're going to be introducing so that you're able to make faster, better decisions. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you'd like to see more about canvases and many other topics in lean thinking for knowledge work, please see Improve, the next generation of continuous improvement for knowledge work.